kid, you know, if it wasn't Michael Jackson or, you know, Stevie Wonder or, you know, Kool and the Gang, you know, we was always influenced by what was going on, and we wanted to be stars, you know, at a young age. I know at least I did.
I was doing something with the turntable and teaching him how to mix, and he was showing me records they had. Their mother and father had an incredible jazz collection. And we decided to go to the store to go buy some beer. So we left out the basement door, went to the store to buy a couple of quarts of beer. At this time, they didn't have 40 ounces. They wasn't invented yet. And when we got back, my turntable was spinning. And I was like, Blast, like, well, we didn't call him Blast at the time. I was like, Griff, who's been messing with my turntable? And he turned and said, nobody. There's nobody down here. Nobody will come down here. I said, I never take my needle and leave my needle off the little holder there on the turntable. And why is the record spinning? Next thing you know, we heard some feet shuffling, and this little dude went running up the steps, and we went to go chase him, and we couldn't catch him. He was too fast. And that's the first time I didn't meet him, but that was Rakim at 10 years old, messing with my turntable, which is why today I say my turntable was the first professional turntable Rakim ever seen.
Known as Kid Wiz or Kid Wizard at first, he had the ferociousness of a lion, but was smooth as a bird in the wind on the mic. Everyone from his hood knew there was something special about William Griffin Jr. Known to be the youngest out of his crew, the Love Brothers, he began to make a name for himself right into high school.
And Rod was, I gotta say it, I know this sounds cliche and corny, but from the beginning he was special. I gotta give it to him, and everybody knew it.
I wasn't just hearing 1, 2, 3, 4. I was saying 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and whatever. You know what I mean? So I started realizing, yo, if I can, you know, fill in all of this space with rhythms and you know, intellectual words that, you know, grab them and 4 or 5 syllable words and you know what I mean? I figured out, you know, I can make the same rhythms that he was making by using certain syllable words and using certain syllable words after each other. You know what I mean? So I took it from a flow and a flow and a blow and then gold and a blown and to blown down blown.
My first MC name was Kid Wizard, man.
Can write rhymes, recite rhymes so smoothly to the point where you would think that he was doing a freestyle, but it wasn't really a freestyle, but it was a freestyle. But he would write it.
You know, I just used to always thought if I can grab their attention from the first couple bars, then they'll listen to the rest of the song, you know what I mean? And also, I don't know, the beginning of the song, the first thing you say on the song is almost, you know, and that's every song, is almost like, you know, your first impression.
And my affiliation with some of the groups, old school hip-hop, Groovy Chill, had some demo session with Rakim, plus, you know, the music. He was in the hood rapping. Kid Wizard.
Rakim, as growing up, got with a few dudes that were neighbors with him. G-Stro.
Well, that's what I was hearing. G-Stro, him and Cool Breeze.
Stephen Pye was the Snake. Ron Drew.
All of them, there was the DJ and
So when they got with Cool Breeze and the Love Brothers, it was like, you know, Cool Breeze had the system, he had the popularity and the MCs, and it was like that was a lot to deal with. And Rod was probably like 13 maybe, barely 14 at that. And that's where that crew was like this. They took over the whole area. See, the thing about it too, like I said before, if you had a past, like Amityville was doing their thing, Wine Dance, we was doing our thing, and the two parks And the 2 days you would do it at is Amityville Day and Wyandotte.
Everybody knew at those backyard parties and they knew they would wait for him to get on that mic because I know he would destroy it. You know, they knew he was going to say something innovative and he was ahead of his time. You know, he wasn't a god then. He was the Kid Wiz at the time. You know, he was young. He was running with a lot of older dudes that was maybe 2, maybe 3 years older than him at the time. And he was doing things that maybe at his age he shouldn't have been doing.
It was like you knew Rakim was coming out with some new gear or some new whatever, or you knew Cool Breeze was going to bring a new record, or you knew Almighty G-Stro or Blade or Snake or Ron Drew. They was going to do something that they would attract 1,000 people in the park by themselves because you want to know what they was doing. You know what I mean? They was like the next thing, you know. So yeah, they was a serious crew.
When I started hearing him on the radio, I mean, excuse me, on the and at the block parties back then, you know, I was like, man, this kid's nice, and I wanted to be so much a part and give my contribution into hip hop, into the hip hop culture, you know. I was like, yo, this dude, man, he might be, yo, he could do something, he could be something, you know.
Can write rhymes, recite rhymes so smoothly to the point where you would think that he was doing a freestyle, but it wasn't really a freestyle, but it was a freestyle. But he would write.
I'll hold the mic as hostage, MCs as ransom. Rhymes will punish him cause they don't understand him. I heat up his brain, then explain, then I hand him a red hot microphone. That's how I brand him. Rhymes fall in formation, unite and ignite. Like a platoon putting bullet wounds in the mic. If you curse me, it ain't no mercy. Give him an autopsy, killed by a verse of me. I took a kid and cut off his eyelids. Kill him slow so he could see what I did. And if he don't understand what I said, I'm pushing his eyeballs way to the back of his head so he can see what he's getting into. A part of the mind that he never been through. The journey is coming cause you're getting sent to a place harder to find, but it's all in the mental. I run a brain scan to locate his game plan. When I'm through with his brain, he ain't the same man. Did he lose his mind or lost in his mind? But this ain't the lost and found because you can't find.
So in stacks and stacks of books he would have. Stacks and stacks. You mean this right. And when he pulled one out on you, it's a problem.
What I do when I'm writing, I'm putting down my life, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I don't believe in writer's block, so when I get to the point where, you know, I'm getting slow on the ink, I just put the pen down, then I go back out in the world and live. So, you know, I'm not rhyming, I'm just thinking, you know what I'm saying? So when I get back to the paper, I got more life to put down.
But he had done something, man, and it was a different thing he was doing, and he blew me away. I could never rhyme in front of him again after that. So he started to grow in popularity in the neighborhood. Those tapes that I made was circulating around the neighborhood.
The Love Brothers was a crew that helped Rakim sharpen his skills on the mic and develop that slow flow that is his trademark. Not too long after that, he would experiment with recording demos with local neighborhood producers and childhood friends, DJ Maniac and Nate Tinsley, along with Rakim's older brother, Stevie Blas.
We was producing music on cassette tapes. We couldn't get our hands on like a 4-track recorder or nothing like that. All of that stuff was a little too expensive at the time. We couldn't afford it. So, you know, we just did our thing. And there was a couple of other people that was involved, like Nate Tinsley.
That was his thing, you know, the God MC thing is basically it's real, original man talking the birthplace. And I looked at that heavy because when you find yourself, no matter where you are, it doesn't matter Africa or the tip of the wherever you find yourself and that real self comes out, you know it. And you met it. That's the new birthplace of original man right there. You know, so it happened in Wyandotte for some of us. You know, that's the birthplace, man.
When I talk about him, his charisma was like, he just had a whole way of doing his thing. So the things that he would do and say was just totally different from what everybody else was doing.
You know, some time went by, a long time had gone by, And Rakim was in high school at this time. And he used to stop over every now and again with a couple of his friends, you know, because I had my music set up in the basement, and they would listen to music, and we would, you know, drink and chat, you know, smoke a little something. And one day, I hear knocks at my window, or at my door rather, because my bedroom was on the second floor. I look out my window, it's Rakim, he's by himself. I'm like, what's up? He's like, yo, you gotta help me, man. I got this melody in my head, I gotta get it out.
But at the same time, like I said, he was serious about it. He loved hip hop, and you could tell at an early age that he was not messing around. He was just had a talent to rhyme. He was God's gift.
Came downstairs, had my equipment set up in the living room at this point, let him in, and he started humming this melody. He was like, can you play that? I'm like, of course I can play that. I mean, your brother taught me how to play the keyboard. So I said, it goes like this.
Eric B in the crib, took him downstairs, a little basement area. Mom and Pop had hooked up real nice. Throw the joint in. And there was like a long version of my melody. You know what I mean? So Eric B heard it.
Hold on, what beat? Who did the beat?
His brother played on it.
Oh, your brother played my melody.
Yeah, we used to go to my man Maniac house, this kid Paul Garrard. Big up to Maniac. We used to go to his crib. He had like a nice little setup where we can kind of make little beats, and I mean Casios and, you know, shit like that back in the day. But it was nice, man. But you know, we used to go over there, do my little thing.
He kept going do 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 do. So I just found the keys, played it. I said, is that it? He was like, that's it. So I recorded a beat from a Boss Dr. Rhythm along with the keyboard part. We recorded that onto a cassette. Then we took the cassette and put it into a player, another cassette player, played it through the mixer again onto another cassette that was recording, and I added scratches, and he rhymed over this echo chamber. And there you have the melody. The melody was made in my living room with me and Rakim that morning.
During Rakim's high school years, he developed a relationship with another budding Long Island rapper by the name of Biz Markie. The two would forge a friendship based off their love for clothes and music.
If you know this, you're gonna fall in the trap. Oh yeah, what do you need with the like him? One who knows the rhyme and any old sin on him. Got hair so baby, you can almost swim. By the first you can tell us Rakim. 6, 7 MCs, put them in a line. Add 7 more brothers, you think they can rhyme. It'll take another 7 before I go for mine. That's 21 MCs, ain't up at the same time.
Wyandanch High School. Do you remember this?
Word up, word up. And what's dope is Biz Mark used to always come out to Long Island to our high school, man. He would come up in the school, and the security guards would try to kick him out. So I had a little juice. I was like, nah, he good, man. He just came up here. I'm taking to see the band teacher, man. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, me and Biz back in the lunchroom, he beatboxing and I'm rhyming.
Biz Mark would convince Ra that to totally test his skills, they would have to go into the concrete jungle called the 5 Boroughs.
201 Uptown, one of the high schools there, and Biz invited us out to this battle.
Battling at the high school, battling in Harlem. So I started, you know, incorporating battle rhymes. And like this right here, most of that was freestyle.
It was Rakim, myself, my man Scully, my man Mike Mitchell, and Biz.
Like whenever I would get down with Biz, we just rhyme off the top of the head. And then you throw a couple joints you had made already in there.
Dougie Fresh goes in there, and you know, you got Rob Bass in there before you made records, and you had all the uptown cats that was, you know, that was live, Eminem, Kid West, you know, so, you know, these cats we heard about, but we never seen. So we was like just playing in the cut.
You know, I met Biz like, you know, early 80s, man. He came out to Wyandanch and had on some painted shell tops one day. I had to paint the shell tops on.
Dougie was here, Biz was here. So it's you know, competition there. So all of a sudden, it was Biz's turn to get on, and Dougie Fresh started basically dissing Biz on the mic. And we was like, word? Is dissing Biz? Nah, that's our man. Nah. You know, listen, we gonna do this. We gonna do this. So Rod's sitting there in the cut like this perusing everything, this building up, and he like, yo, B, get that impeach the president ready. Get that impeach the president ready.
Started talking, and before I know it, I found out he rapped. He found out that I rap. So we start kicking it.
You know, Barry B just shoves the headphones in my chest, kind of like, and I'm like, whoa, for real? Okay, now I'm hot now. I'm ready to cut it up on somebody, getting ready to slice somebody up. So Rob was like on some, let's go. He jumps up on the table, on a small little table, and he goes, he says one of his intros, and then in the bass, come on, Super B, let's dog the Perry. So yes, sure, boom. I throw that record in, and when all of a sudden, he did the 7 MCs in a line rhyme, and everybody was just stuck on stupid. That's when I was starting to do a lot of battle rapping, and that little 7 MC theory just came into play. It was just like everybody was like, yo, who is this dude? Who is this dude that just came here in Uptown and shook everybody up? Not only shook everybody up, he had everybody's girl.
Rakim had another childhood friend by the name of Alvin Toney, who had already reached success at the time in hip-hop by his association and relationship with EPMD. Eric B happened to come to Long Island looking to sign the next big act and asked Alvin for his advice. 2 names came up, Rakim and Freddie Fox.
What I was going to do was, when I first started, we used to go to Tri-State. We used to Connecticut, New Jersey, New York. So we used to play, we used to go every street team. We take T-shirts, buttons, hats, jackets, and, give them out to the neighbors and promote BLS. So I was going to do a record. I was going to do an album called The Tri-State, and just go, because in Connecticut I used to find rappers that were nice, in New Jersey and New York. So I was going to just take a rapper from all these different boroughs and the Tri-State and put them together and do an album.
Like a compilation
Of
album.
course.
Right.
Then wind up going to Long Island, and Wine Dance just kept, every weekend they would call, oh, we want Eric to come back. So I played, because you literally, right. Every week I would play another street in Wine Dance. Right. It was the most ridiculous thing in the world. So every week I'd be on this street, that street, every weekend in Wine Dance. So I met a guy named Alvin Toney.
Alvin, he might have had something to do with that, because he's, very influential in certain aspects in the game for a minute. A lot of stuff with EPMD.
It's possible, because I think Alvin Toney knows Freddie Fox.
He was managing them and Craig Mack, but
a friend of mine named Alvin Toney, was with Eric, and he mentioned to Eric was like, yo, take me to the MCs out here that's dope. I want to meet the dope ones, the ones that's nice, because I got a project I'm working on and blah blah blah.
Alvin Toney told me, Eric, we got rappers out here. Rappers and what? Man, Alvin, cut this shit.
This is Long Island. I mean,
are you serious, man?
There's no rap in Long Island.
No.
Alvin took me over there.
He said, I know a kid that could rap?
Yeah, he took me to people's house. Took me to Freddie Fox's house.
Well, I was driving through Wine Dance, and Alvin flagged me down, and he had Eric with him. And he was like, yo, man, this is Eric B. And, he looking for somebody to do this project with him.
He said, nah, Eric, I'm telling you, these guys are nice. I got this now, Freddie, man. Went over to Fox's house first, and he was telling Eric, man, he's the man. He's the man. I'm telling you, he's the man. Then we went over to Rakim's house.
Cat on my football team, Alvin Toney, brought Eric B to the crib and was like, yo, this is Eric B. He looking for an MC. And, me being a little arrogant dude, I'm sitting there looking at Eric B like, yo, Al, man, I'm about to go to college to play football, man. What you bringing this dude over? I told you don't be bringing nobody to the crib, man. But he's like, yo, he know Magic and Marley Marl, and you know what I mean? So I was like, all right.
just start talking. You know, he was home. We start talking and going, you know, back and forth, you know, about different things. I'll never forget, you know, when I went there, they used to call him Pop.
Right.
So up on the wall, he had wrote Rakim on the wall. I'll never forget this. In his room, he used to write stuff on the wall and wrote Rakim. I was like, yo. He was like, yo, I'm studying. You know, I'm a 5%. I'm studying.
I'm studying my lessons, right?
Okay. You know, then that's the name we went with.
Right. Eric B. and Rakim.
Yes.
Because the DJ always came first.
No. Actually, Rakim made up the name of the group.
Really?
Yes.
Eric B. used to be my roommate. We used to see a lot of artists come through the studio and become stars. So when Eric B. was scheduled to bring in his first rapper, guess what? His first rapper never showed up. Somebody told me that was Freddie Fox that was supposed to show up.
Then I told him, I said, okay, cool. So being that I was in a group, I was like, okay, we'll be there. You know, we'll be we set up a meeting. I said, we'll be there. He's like, well, who's we? I was like, me and, you know, the other two cats that I rock with. Eric was like, well, I just need one of y'all. So I didn't cancel the meeting, but I didn't show up because I felt like if he wasn't going to take all of us, it would have been kind of whack for me. I didn't want to bounce on my guys like that. So I kind of just didn't show up.
But the next day, a rapper did show up. And that rapper that showed up, his name was Rakim.
So that initial meeting is what got Rakim and Eric B together. They would take previous demos that Rakim made to the studio to show Marley Marl.
At some point, I guess Alvin Toney ran into Eric B. Freddie Fox must have missed the boat because the rumor has it that he was supposed to show up at that meeting. He didn't. Rakim showed up, and I guess he brought that tape of the melody because Eric B had to hear something.
When I first met him, I was in a maze. He did this record that was 90. We had those Maxwell cassette tape, and he had my melody on it, and he rhymed for about 90 minutes on it. And I got the original cassette. I got to find the original cassette because the record is the cut down edited version of my melody because he rhymed for about 90 minutes on the tape.
So they took that tape of the melody and brought it to Marley Marl. So Marley Marl recreated the melody off of what I made. Me and Rakim made the melody.
Now, when Rakim first came to the studio, we made a song called My Melody First.
Turn up the bass, check out my melody, hand out a cigar. I'm letting knowledge be born, and my name's the R. AKA I am not like the rest of them, I'm not on the list.
It was real slow, down tempo, the energy really wasn't there, and me and Eric had an idea.
So you trying to say that before you was so he had the beat before you then?
He had the song.
He had the song,
yeah, and he had music to it. He had the song and had the music already done.
The melody that you hear is pretty much just about the same thing. Because Eric B kind of copied my scratches and everything.
Turn up the bass, check out my melody, hand out a cigar. I'm letting knowledge be born, and my name's the R. AKA I am not like the rest of them, I'm not on the list. That's what I'm saying, I drop lines like a scientist. My melody's in the codes of every next episode. Have the mic off and distorting, ready to explode. I keep the mic at Fahrenheit, frequencies to make.
So check it out, and out a cigar. I'm letting knowledge be born, and my name's the R. AKA I am not like the rest of them, I'm not on the list. That's what I'm saying, I drop lines like a scientist. My melody's in the codes of every next episode. Have the mic on and distorting, ready to explode. I keep the mic at Fahrenheit, or colder than a polar bear. But measure with the heat that's made by solar. Yeah, I'm memorizing advertised like a poet. You can know it when I'm going smooth enough. You know it's enough. That's why the bureau of my story I never be. Nobody beats the R. Check out my melody.
There has been a lot of speculation on the production of Rakim's early records, Check Out My Melody and Eric B for President, regarding who produced or who arranged the records. What we do know is everyone has their own version of how it went down.
Well, one day, him and Eric B, this is when I first met Eric B. I brought Eric B by the house. I used to live out in Wyandanch. and I had the studio downstairs. He come by one day, and he had them. They had an idea already. They wanted to hear bass line from like a Funky President, and then they wanted to beat the drum from that, and they wanted the bass line from Over Like a Fat Rat. It was like that was his idea already.
It's so funny that I look at on the internet and I see Marley Marl doing this whole tutorial talking about how he made the record. He is totally right that he was the engineer and that made the record. And I say this is so funny. When I got the record, I had the 2 records. Never forget, I'm in Rakim's basement, and it's me, Rakim, Stevie Blast, and they're drinking Ballantine Ale. I can remember it like it was yesterday. So I told Rakim, I said, what I was going to do. I said, this is the beat I'm going to use, the president, James Brown, the president, and then I'm going to take a bass line and put it on top of it. Rakim spit the beer all over his mother's basement, laughing. I said, I'm going to take something like Vonda Ray. I'm going to do my own interpretation of Vonda Ray Over Like a Fat Rat.
And then, we laid that down with the little sequence and stuff I had back then.
He said, let's use the bass line from Fonda Ray's Over Like a Fat Rat. Now, this record right here was a hot joint in the clubs. It always worked. When you threw it on, the crowd would always go crazy. And I suggested that we use Funky President beat because I already knew that James Brown was always a hit when you sampled it or played it in hip-hop parties.
We were laughing, and I remember telling Rakim, this is how Paid in Full came, and I said, all right, Rod. I said, I want you to laugh like that when you get paid in full. And that's how the album name came, Paid in Full, and we used to laugh all the time. He said, all right, we're going to see what happens. So what happened was I remember taking the records to Dougie Fresh, and Dougie Fresh used to sit there and go, I don't know, Hops. We're going to see what happened, Hops, and see how you put this together. You know how Doug talk with the raspy voice. I don't know, Hops. I don't know if you're going to pull this one off, Hops. We're going to see what happened. So I went to Marley's house because he was the engineer. Like Mr. Magic used to call him the engineer all-star because he was the engineer. So I paid Marley to do, because I didn't know how to, work the equipment, but I had the ideas and I knew exactly what I wanted done. So I gave him the records. I said, this is what I want done. That's what I want. Marley has no publishing, no nothing on the record. So you want me to tell me that Marlon just gave me the record and he was scared of me. So that's why come on, man. He knows what it is. Me and Rakim work together as a team. You know what I'm saying? And that's why if you look at all the records that he's done since then, you know what I'm saying, you don't get that same feel.
Not at all.
Because we work together as a team. This is the truth.
Have you spoken to Marley about this?
No, I don't even. Every time I see Marley, I'd be so upset. I just want to choke the shit out of him. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, come on, man. We on the same team. You know what I'm saying? We brothers. We shouldn't be fighting with this silly shit. This is a lie. All you got to do is see Stevie Blast, Rakim's brother. He'll tell you. That's where I got the records from. You know what I'm saying? That's where I got the idea. He told me, Eric, please don't abandon the plan. And that's why he doesn't get royalties. I mean, it's the same argument that Big Daddy Kane had with him and the same argument that Bismarck had with him. You could ask either one of them. They had the same argument. You know, this back and forth bickering, you know what I'm saying? This is 30 years later, and we're still talking about this shit.
So I told Eric, I didn't really want to do it. So he was like, yo, we can do it where you don't have to sign a contract. That's why if you ever seen the first record, it was Eric B. featuring Rakim. Feature where you don't have to sign no contract. I was just a featured artist.
There's a story that that I've heard with Marley Marl when they recorded it in Queensbridge.
Now, you recorded this at Marley Marl,
no doubt,
his house, right?
No doubt.
In Queensbridge.
Queensbridge, yes, sir.
In his apartment. Now, what happened when you went in to deliver the rhymes?
They bring Rakim over there, and they's in Marley Marl apartment, and MC Shan is there. Like I said, he had the hype rap style. MC Shan, the bridge.
Because Marley's there, Eric B's there. Right? Is Eric B there? Or is this Marley?
Yeah, me, Eric B.
And MC Shan.
Yeah, well, Shan actually came later. Okay. We get up in Marley house, and we hooked the beat up. Marley helped us program the beat. And then sitting on the couch similar to this right here, chilling. You know what I mean? 17 years old. Sitting on the couch. Well, you know what I mean? I definitely appreciated being in Marley Marl crib, but you know what I mean? Chilling. And when it came time for me to start rapping, you know, the studio was just like this. Had a couch in it. Marley's equipment was over here. He had the reel of rails right in front of me.
Rakim gets up there to record.
Now think about it. We're sitting back in the day with a little bit of sampling time, 4 tracks in a living room. Since there was limited to 4 tracks, we had to put the hottest things on those 4 tracks.
Couch is right here. He handed me the mic. Turn up the bass, check out my melody, and he was like, yo, man, why don't you stand up a little bit?
With a real smooth flow, we didn't know what was about to happen to the rap industry at that point.
I said, for what? He was like, yo, you know, put a little more energy in it. I was like, nah, man, I don't want no more energy in it. I'm trying to, that's how I want it to be, right here.
That's it? That's how you rap? That's, what kind of rapper is that?
Now, when Rakim first came to the studio, we made a song called My Melody First.
Turn up the bass, check out my melody, hand out a cigar. I'm letting Niles be born, and my name's the R. A.K.A. I am not like the rest of them, I'm not on the list.
It was real slow, down tempo. The energy really wasn't there.
So, you know, he turned around, all right, so we start recording again. So I do like two verses, and then all of a sudden Shan comes in the room. So Marley turns and talks to Shan for a quick minute. And then Shan turns to me, yo, Lord, yo, you think you could put a little more energy in it, man, Shan? I'm like, yo, Shan.
He didn't understand that you just seen the future of rap, period. You know what I'm saying? So, because they were used to the, you know what I'm saying?
Man, come on, man. Don't nobody tell you how to rhyme, right? So he stopped and looked. I was like, listen, man, why don't you all just let me finish what I'm doing, listen to it, and then, you know what I mean, if we need to do something or change something up, then, you know what I mean, we'll take it from there, man. I said, but just let me finish doing what I'm doing first, man. And luckily, Marley being patient, because he could have said, yo, man, go ahead, man. You know what I mean, beat it. But, you know, luckily he was patient, man. He let me finish it. Shan let me finish the way I wanted to do. And as they started listening to it, they started to get it.
It was done over. Marley Marl had flipped it and made it real, you know, the Marley Marl.
How different was it from what you did?
Very, not too different pattern-wise, but sound-wise. Marley Marl had all the good sounds, you know, with using the impeach the president kick and snare. That just kind of really made it hip-hop. I guess I had a little more electronic at the demo sound, but the basic, the skeleton was there, but he took it to the next, that other level, to really where it's at, what you hear, you know, but just to hear go from there is like, wow, so everybody's like, why did he stick with you, man? And it's this, you know, like we were saying before we even got started, is sometimes you can't, once you get into the industry, it's hard to really stick with the chemistry. They got their own circle and stuff, and sometimes the producer you work with, it gets left behind. They got some other producers up in there now that they just kind of take over, you know, so you don't have a lot of control when you're not in control, you know.
MC Shan, if you look at the records, me and Shan did the mixes because, to tell the truth, Marley didn't believe in this.
Right.
Marley didn't believe in Eric B. He thought Rakim was the worst rapper in the world. He thought Rakim was rhyming slow. Never forget, he's like, oh, Eric, Rakim is rhyming slow.
So when Rakim came on the straight lyrical, intricate, like a person that's writing a book, you know what I'm saying? And once that happened, it just changed the game.
And this and that, we should sell.
So he was complaining.
We should sell a track to Aaron Fuchs and Tough City Records, and the tracks came out good. And Rakim's giving me a headache, and MC Shan said, yo, man, the God is ill, man, and Shan just loved it. So Marlon didn't want to do the mixes.
Right.
So me and Shan had been around so long and watched him do the mixes, and me and Shan did the mixes on Eric B. as President, My Melody.
Right.
And so, you know, when it comes to history, just tell the truth. It ain't no big deal.
Right.
As they started listening to it, they started to get it. But it took a couple weeks later for it to come out on the radio and them to hear it on the radio. We did a show together, and I just remember walking up to the backstage, and Shan and Marley was standing there looking at me, and I'm walking across the parking lot, and I look up, they looking, I'm like, fuck these niggas looking at me. So when I get up to them, they look at me and they start smiling. They say, yo, we get it now, man. We see what you was trying to do. So I was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's just a blessing, man, that, again, man, that Marley was patient and let me do, you know, what I wanted to do in the way I wanted to do. Because that's what got me here today.
MC Shan knew his style of rap was over. You know what I'm saying? He said, this guy's going to change the game, and you're going to learn how to adapt or you're going to be left behind. So that's the golden era begins.
See, during the year of 87, hip-hop music and the sound of the music started to change drastically. Rakim was a major game changer. Any rapper before him had a much more different style of rhyme and flow pattern. Even the style of dress changed. The rap artist's fashion style changed to more of a streetwear with the custom dapper dance suit, fat gold chains, from the costume-ish type wear. Welcome to 1987, where Rakim would change hip-hop.
This whole thing went in phases, and every time it went to a level. You know, you had a level where it was created by Herc and Sasa and Coke, and then you went to the era of the Busy Bee Starsky era, and then you had that change from the Kumo D era.
Grandmaster Caz and Melly Mel.
Those cats right there kind of taught me to do this, you know what I mean? Listening to them, that was the blueprint, you know what I mean? And they just made it easy to understand what a rapper was.
That came in, and then you had the the next change of the Dougie Fresh era, that came in, and then when Ra's era came, when he stepped in, it took a big change. It took a huge jump.
Because Rob was still, at the time when that record came out, Rob was still in school. A lot of people don't realize that. The first pressing of it. And he came running on the bus, on the band bus, because we was all on band together. And he used to play the baritone sax. And we was marching in the parade, and he came on the bus. He said, "Yo, Bilal, look at everybody. I got my record. I got my record." And we was like, "Yo, Eric B, for president."
He came back one day with a record. He came back with that. This is after I saw him with Eric B. He came and just didn't see nothing for a while. He came back, yo, this is out. He orange, test pressing. The Zakia records I saw on there. And they had, and then put it on and we heard, check out the melody first. And he turned it over and Eric B. president was on the other side. And I said, well, that's the beat that we started to do down in the spot. But
at this time, the Kid Wizard fully takes on the name Rakim Allah. Even as the dope MC that he was, he still felt he had something to prove, and that would play out in his lyrics.
I got into the Nation of Islam in 1986. What inspired me is, I was at the point where I needed something to, uplift my world as far as, I had to go to the next level. I'm saying I was tired of running in the streets. I just needed something, to give me a little more self-esteem, and that's what it did.
He's the one that made me want to be a 5%er. Where I come from, if you didn't know today's mathematics, it might be a little bit of a problem for you, stepping up to that little grocery store in the Ave to get your mother's bread and, and the cereal for your brothers and sisters. So you had to pass the guard section. And in passing the guard section, of course, they played the guard.
My family is from the Nation, you know what I'm saying? So, the guard, talk and the whole thing is that was really the essence of that era. That's where, niggas was on some, what's the knowledge guard and the whole thing. So being fly, having, gold on it, just being a black guard was what it was about, you know what I'm saying? So that was what he personified to me in terms of his presentation. That's why people fucked with him. Like, he seemed like a guy that really carried himself like that. You know what I'm saying? So salute to the God, Rakim.
I was at work one day and was playing the radio. And we had, after that, I know he had became God, He became a God and got involved in 5% Nation. And I knew his name was Rakim.
Once you deal with the mental, and everything else speaks for itself. Once you tell somebody, how powerful their mind is, and they think about it, then they start to utilize it, then they realize, you know, man, I can do this. I ain't got to ask, you know, I ain't got to put my hands together and look up and ask nobody for a job. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go get a job or do what I gotta do, you know, to make ends meet.
And then I realized that he was talking about something. 85, 5, and 10. Whoa. What do those numbers represent? 85 is the deaf, dumb, and blind of the masses that follow. 5% of the ones who have chosen knowledge, who have knowledge of self and wisdom and understanding. And then you got the 10%, which is the others.
Like I said, at that point, I needed Islam, you know, slow me down a little bit and take life a little more serious, you know.
Yeah, we didn't know Rakim was from Long Island.
But
Rakim was from Fort Greene, man. Sorry.
That's what you thought?
Yeah, he felt like that. He was around dudes from Fort Greene, legends. Killer Ben, Supreme Magnetic, 50 Cent, rap.
A lot of city cats slept on Long Island cats, like they was country or something. You know, we were supposed to be country niggas or something like that. So to see people like Rakim, EPMD, Biz.
We loved EPMD. We loved Public Enemy. We didn't. It was dope. We didn't look at Long Island. We didn't look down on it. Like, I don't think back then it was so much about where he was from. It was about. I don't think that even entered the situation, because it was not like the music that they was making was promoting where they was from anyway. It was like, I'm from Long Island. You know, I think it was just that we loved the music. It was a song from a dude who came from Long Island, I remember. Long Island.
Strong Island.
Strong Island, right.
Yeah, JVC Force.
Yeah, we liked that song. We loved that song.
Regardless where you from, you know, it's where you at. You know, like if people, you know, use a crutch as far as, you know, they ain't got this or they ain't got that, you know, that's, everything else is material. You know what I'm saying? As long as they got their physical form in their mind, whatever they want to happen can happen. You know, and I express that too. Rakim means sun god, from the land of the burnt-faced people. Ra means sun god. Kim is another word for Egypt. You know, and it means the land of the burnt-faced people.
Rakim, to this day, to people, is still one of the greatest MCs ever. That's enough said. And a Long Island nigga.
You know, coming from Long Island, it was a little different. You know, you can kind of stretch out and, you know, it wasn't as hectic as the city. But at the same time, being on the outside looking in gave me a different understanding of what was going on in the city.
If Rakim was paid, like if you could legitimately find a way to pay somebody for the amount of influence that they have on hip hop, like Ra would be a billionaire. He'd be the godfather, the Bill Gates of it.
You know, knowing that I was from Long Island and being a rapper, you know, on that note, you got to be a little more flamboyant. You got to be a little more, you know, extra. Not extra on a fake sense, but you know, the competition in New York. You know, at that time, you know, Long Island was a little slower than New York. You know what I mean? It took videos and time for different cities to catch up with other cities. You know what I mean? By watching videos and hearing records, we know what goes on down south. We know what goes on in California. We know what goes on across seas.
I feel like 80s, late 80s really took it there on that king. Like the word king was really taken literal. Like they really felt like they was kings, you know what I'm saying? So that's where all the truck jewelry and everything comes from. It's literally showing you wealth, like on your person, you know what I'm saying? Like they basically got a house on them and they're showing you exactly how rich and powerful. That's all rich, just showing wealth and power. That's what it's showing.
With the big shade, the big doki ropes, and that's like
that was a sign like you made it. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to have that. No, you got that shit on. Like, who was this motherfucker? And you couldn't walk around with that shit on if you wasn't somebody.
That's who you wanted to be. That's who you wanted to be back then. You wanted to be that nigga with the, you know what I'm saying? Bow. You know what I mean? Rings busting out, silks on with the part. You know what I mean? In front of the Benz. Fuck you mean?
I think Rakim set the standard for New York fashion at that time. You know what I mean? Because down south we wasn't into all the fur coats and all that. But when we saw them do it up north, we can do that down here too. So I would definitely agree. He was definitely at the top of the fashion game when it came to stuff like that.
Talk about movies like Dope is being made, or you see the breaks being shown on VH1. There's a reason for that.
You feel people are missing that.
Because they know that era will never be duplicated, but it's so fly. The 90s was just fly. Not taking nothing from what happened, but that right there was the bulk. The late 80s and up to that was the bulk of what you see now. We laid that as far as our era.
Motherfucking big ass ropes, or multiple ropes, and the big anchors and all that shit. Yeah, man, the rings and all that shit. That was that was part of. Actually, it's like part of the costume. You know what I'm saying? But everybody, you had to have it. If you didn't have it, you know what I'm saying, you was whack.
Back then, putting them word patterns together and putting hip hop. I'm sure there's other guys that do it. I mean, Kane, a bunch of niggas, but I was mad young, so when I'm looking, Rakim was the first that I noticed that was using the word patterns and putting it together that early in hip hop. So he was super instrumental, man. He was super instrumental and lyrical and nice, and he had the style and the jewelry and all of that shit. Like, Rakim was an ill nigga.
Rakim came out, he kind of like changed the way rappers rap and recite their lyrics. You know, in the era of hype rap, like Run DMC's, LL Cool J, where they had the hype, you know, energetic raps. Rakim was more laid back, slow flow, intricate lyrics.
We knew, see, one thing about us, too, on Long Island, we knew what everybody was doing in the sense of what the sound was. He changed the whole sound with one record.
But when Rakim came out, it almost flatlined all of those old flows.
Yeah.
His rhyme style flatlined a lot of old flows and made people think about how they pattern their lyrics.
The Paid in Full album hit stores, and Rakim transforms hip-hop.
Because everybody was doing, and you don't stop. Bob did the dang, dig it. You know, it was that old school, but it wasn't called old school. It was new then.
Everybody go hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. You say if your girl starts acting up, then you take a friend. I say skip, dive, what can I say?
So they was doing a certain cadence. Where Ra slowed everything down.
Everybody was like, yo, nigga, you sound like this nigga Rakim. I'm like, how? I never saw it, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, certain niggas was like, yo, this nigga trying to bite Rakim style, you know what I'm saying? So that shit got under my skin so bad. It's like, on my second album, I switched my whole shit up. You know what I'm saying? Which I always say that was the wrong shit to do.
I mean, to me, when you come in with original style, that right there is a contribution. Because everybody right now is just biting. Like, it's cool to bite.
And Rod was mean with it. Rod was rough. You know, he had that quiet, hard swagger. Everybody wanted to be down, you know, and yo, you couldn't front on Rakim. Who could front on Rakim?
You know, Rod was just so great. And one thing, like, you used to never really hear him speak. Just calm, cool. Like, you know, the mystique about him was just so ill.
lyrics, stuff, just the top joints that he said that stuck in your mind that, you know, forever, whenever you hear his name. And then those, you know, the 7 MCs, there's a few that really where he broke things down.
He had certain shit that maybe at that time seemed like it was slow, but it really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, Check Out My Melody is not really actually slow, but if you compare that with other joints at that time, you know what I'm saying? It might have been slow in comparison to that.
So even if you didn't per se know Rakim or listen to his music like that, your favorite rapper's favorite rapper is Rakim.
Oh man, definitely Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Biggie, Jay-Z, Slick Rick, LL Cool J. Anybody who's got lyrical content and you know that you gotta, cause he set the bar so high because of the way he put words together and the way he made sense. He definitely influenced all them cats.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that hip hop and Rakim, they go hand in hand. You can't talk about hip hop and not talk about Rakim.
Opening doors. I mean, sparking brains. Like, I feel like what he said, his lyrics, things, words and songs that came out that he made, changed rap.
If you had the pleasure to be in his presence and got his attention, he would take that feeling and multiply it by 1,000 because he would make you feel like you somebody.
Rakim's impact was simply more than just a new artist coming to the forefront. He was like a hip-hop force. His presence alone made the well-established artists feel like something was missing, and the new artists felt compelled to get close to him. His childhood friends and people from his neighborhood knew how special he was. It just took the world to catch on.
If you didn't know, he seemed unapproachable because he's so quiet and laid back. So most cats, you don't want to look stupid, you don't want to sound stupid, you know what I'm saying? So I've seen cats, they don't know how to act around him. But once he talked to you and you realize, yo, this nigga's real, yo, I've seen cats leave like fucked up. You know, like they still probably trying to process it, yo, Rod's dope. You know, real dude, man.
Putting your flag up and representing for who you are and where you were from, and doing it in a way with class and respect. Not just professional respect, but street code respect. Because where we come from, you know, there's people that live there, and there's other people that have to know somebody to come visit there.
Oh man, one of the dopest MCs ever to touch a microphone. I don't think Rakim gets a lot of the credit he deserves for lyrical content, for just ripping the microphone and just crushing it.
And I was at work one day, and this song came on the radio, and I will never forget that. Yo, I turned that radio up so loud, you know, I told everybody, yo, this is, I know him. It's Rakim, he's from Wyandanch. Yeah, he's from Wyandanch. You know, I'm at work, man.
Whenever I see his success, I felt like it was my success. You know, and I had to catch flack from everybody in the neighborhood. Like, yo, Ack, you started him off. Ack, you wrote his rhymes. I'm like, where y'all getting this? Like, can't nobody write rhymes like that but him.
We was dead up uptown in their home, cracking. Like, they never heard nothing like it in their lives. When Rakim said a rhyme back then, you never heard it before. As simple as that.
Like, where y'all getting this? And I'm like, and I would catch it from, you know, people out here saying, you know, how it would feel to see him on TV and you still in Wyandanch. I'm like, it feels fabulous because I feel like that's my success too.
It's good, it's so good to hear people speak about him, you know, and to say he's the best lyricist that ever made a record. When you hear people say that, I don't know that people understand the magnitude of that statement, that he is the best rapper that ever made a record in the history of rap.
Every once in a while, if you're lucky, you'll get a chance to see some things in life that will change your perspective. For me and a bunch of us, that was Eric B. and Rakim. 30 years later, after the debut of Paid in Full, he has still managed to carry the same persona. Along with his partner Eric B., they made the culture of hip-hop do two things: forever be grateful for their contribution to hip-hop, and they made us all check out their melody.